Hey everybody, so in today's video, I got the privilege to sit down with Paolo, aka Paolo, who was in a polyamorous relationship with two other women, Kassandra and Carly. He was with Kassandra, his wife, for about 7 years before they met Carly, and they were in a relationship with her for 3 years. They recently broke up, and Paolo allowed me the privilege to sit down and kind of talk to him about that relationship, what went wrong, why they broke it off, and then we also touch about a lot of different other topics that I think you guys can find some value in. I will leave below their old YouTube channel linked, because they did have a YouTube channel where they explained the whole relationship and how it worked. So if anybody is curious about how that worked, I will leave the link below so you guys can check it out. But before we start the video, I do want to make a few disclaimers, okay? So number one, the video was originally an Instagram live, right? I do have the longer version on Instagram, so if anybody, like unedited, if anybody wants to watch it, feel free. I'm gonna leave the link to the full video below too. This will be a shorter version where we focus more on what he's saying, because in the Instagram live, it's live. We all talked a lot and there was a lot going on, but there's some valuable stuff in that one too. Feel free to check it out. But in this one, it's going to be more focused on him and what he's saying. Another disclaimer I want to say is, in the original video, a lot of people were saying that I agree with a lot of the ideologies he was saying, a lot of the things he was saying, because I didn't question it more, or because I didn't add my 2 cents to it. And yes, the way I structured the interview is more of a conversation. I think that creates a more dynamic, diverse conversation. But at the end of the day, it's still an interview that I was doing of him and how he thinks about certain things and his perspective. So just because I don't add to what he's saying about certain things, or I don't disagree or argue with him, doesn't mean that I necessarily agree or disagree with what he's saying. It's just that at the end of the day, it was an interview, not a place where I was going to completely discuss and argue certain things with him. That could be a different video if that's what you guys want. So I want to make sure that is clear. And then, yeah, other than that, I will leave his Instagram below as well, so if you guys want to catch up with him, feel free to do so. I will also leave some notes, so like any books we mentioned throughout the video, any podcasts or anything we referenced to, I will try to leave them below for you guys. So if you guys want to reference back to those, you are more than welcome to, without having to watch the full video. And last, I will leave a timestamp for you guys to make it easy for anybody that has a certain question that they want answered. You guys can skip to it. I know some people, they've been following the Trifecta channel, which is their channel, for a while, and they have certain questions they want answered. So I'll make it easy for you guys to skip to those. One last thing I forgot to mention is I'm going to be cutting the video up into 3 different parts, okay? This will be part 1, and I will be uploading part 2 and part 3. Reason being is because the interview was very long. We said a lot of valuable stuff, which I hope you guys stick around for. But I wanted to cut the videos up into more digestible videos for you guys, okay? So I will link those below, and I will also try to put them on the screen, so once you're done watching this video, you can go watch that one. But yeah, with that being said, now let's get on with the video.
There he is, the man of the hour.
What's up? What's up? Thank you so much for holding it down. I was actually trying to figure out how to jump on here. So I think the reason why I wanted to do it is because I've gained so much perspective, and I think that, you know, I don't know, I'm the type of person that as I grow more in consciousness, if we have the platform to do that, you know, why not do that? Because I know that for me, you know, when I was in that space, it was so valuable for me to gain other people's perspectives, and I think that definitely helped with my journey. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just like, you know, I'm blessed. I'm happy that we get this opportunity to do this, and I'm happy to be able to share my perspective and hopefully bring more consciousness, more awareness. One thing that this is definitely not is, you know, I got mad love for the girls, you feel me? So this is not going to be a place for me to talk down on anyone. However, I will share my perspective, and it may offend some people, right? Because at the end of the day, it's my perspective, right? So, but, you know, so I'm definitely not going to shy away from some of the questions that you have, but at the end of the day, I want everybody to know my intention is pure. You know, it's just to bring higher vibrations.
I was watching a live you did on the Trifecta channel today, and you were talking about you know, how one of the biggest things you learn after getting out of this was, you know, learning to be single, right? And like you kept saying, you said something, you said being single creates a foundation for being in a relationship, right? And I feel like that's something that's circulating a lot now, but it is true. A lot of people get in a relationship when they don't even know how to love themselves. They don't even know how to be alone. It's almost like a thing. I've been reading Will Smith's book, and he says one thing where he's like, you know, I was always surrounded by people, and then I felt unhappy. And then somebody asked me, like, do you even like spending time with yourself? And he said, I don't. And then if you don't like spending time with yourself, how can anybody else, right? So I say that to, I want to go back a little bit to who you were prior to like Kassandra and Carly. Like,
Yes.
I'm curious, when did you, because you and Cass have been married for 10 years, right?
Yes.
That's a long
Almost.
time.
Oh yeah, it happened like right off the bat. So actually, I was coming off of a different season in my life too. I was actually kind of just hanging out with the wrong people. I was kind of not going in the right path, and I got
Question.
myself. Yes.
How old were you? Do you mind?
When I met her?
Yeah.
I was 19.
Okay. Oh, you guys were babies. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I met her, and yeah, we met it. You know, my brother at the time was doing martial arts, and that kind of intrigued me, and I was like, you know what, I'm coming out of this phase in my life. Actually, I had just recently gotten, like, I was coming out of jail, to be completely honest with you. And I know a lot of people are like, really, I don't see you, but you know, it's just a different chapter in my life.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, I need something. I need to turn my life around. I don't want to be heading in this direction. So I decided to join martial arts, and sure enough, when I ended up going to class one of the days, I saw this amazing instructor, and I was like, wow, she's really pretty. Like, who is this lady? Maybe like 30 minutes into it, class was about to start, and she introduces herself. She goes, hey, my name is Sensei Kassandra. Nice to meet you. I'm going to be teaching you today. And I was like, oh, wow, damn, okay. And that was kind of the beginning of how we met, right? So
Yeah.
we actually met at a martial arts school. And you know, that became a chapter in our life as well. You know, I got the opportunity to eventually become an instructor. And then eventually manage the school as if it was our own, building it from maybe like 50, 60 people all the way up to like maybe I think like 200-300 people, bringing the revenue from like a couple thousands of dollars to $30,000 in revenue every single month. So this was also my first. There's so many things that are happening. It was my first time meeting someone that I was like, wow, like head over heels. It was my first time ever teaching. It was my first time ever managing a school. It was my first time ever learning about how to sell. It was my first introduction to entrepreneurship. But most importantly, it was also my first time when I actually got the opportunity to be connected to God, which really changed the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not religious. I'm more spiritual. But you know, everything kind of plays in the bigger picture. So all of that was an introduction to all of that, you know, and that was kind of the beginning of all of those first things for me. And that's kind of a little bit of, you know, where I was at. So just to kind of do a quick recap, I was coming from being a follower, not really knowing myself, going through an identity crisis, and then transitioning into finding myself and understanding what some of my strengths were, what I liked, what I didn't like. And then, you know, and then kind of also, you know, falling in love and getting married really young and doing all of that stuff. So.
And I remember you said that you guys got married like a year right after you guys met, right?
We got yeah. So it was crazy. Yeah, we did. We definitely. It happened so quickly. You know, someone suggested it to us, and I was like, you know, let's just fucking do it. You know, so there were so many things happening at the time. We were managing the school, and I think at the time one of our pastors was like, hey, like, you guys are wasting a lot of money because you got to drop her all the way at her house, and then you got to come back, and then he just planted this seed in my mind where I was like, you know what, like, we're literally doing life with each other. Why not take the next step? You know what I mean? So yeah. So that's kind of what happened. We took the next step. We got married, and I proposed to her. I think it was December 17th. I think it's this month too. And yeah. So, you know, there was definitely like there was history there, you know, like me and Kassandra, we not only were married, but we also we built a business together. We did life together. We got to see each other grow through that journey because we were young, right? So there's a lot of growth that we were able to witness.
So before Cass, were you like, was that your first? Cause I know you said experiencing love and everything. Had you ever been in another relationship? I mean, you were 19, so I don't know what life was like before that.
I mean, I've always fallen in love. Like, I mean, I've had a few girlfriends, but I feel like that's always kind of, I thought that was kind of interesting. But I think I only probably had one other serious relationship. And then I think I had multiple different flings that were happening. But yeah, I mean, I realized, you know, like even stepping into that relationship with Cass in the very beginning, I was so underdeveloped, you know what I mean? I was so underdeveloped, and I didn't even understand what my role as a man was, you know, and even with everything that's happened, you know, I call it authentic solitude. You know, authentic solitude is when you strip everything away from a man, you know, and it's interesting. Maybe not for women. I'm not a woman. You know, I can only share my perspective as a man, but maybe there's some men here who could probably agree. But as men, we grow through suffering. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think that's probably the women's narrative, but you know, for at least when I've been learning through this journey, because you know, I was married to Cass, long time there. You know, I did life with Carly. Together we did life. I mean, Carly's an awesome person as well. I had feelings for her as well. I would say I loved her as well, right? But I think that all of that, you know, has kind of even broadened my perspective and just given me so much more life as a man. I had to go backwards, of course, when you some of those videos, but yeah, I mean, even stepping into the relationship with Cass, I was so underdeveloped, you know. Looking back at it, I was underdeveloped. I didn't understand what my role as a man was. So we kind of navigated that together, you know, and you know, I don't think it's a woman's it's a woman's job to do that. But Cass, you know, we were both young, you know, and we kind of both understood where we were meeting each other at. And I thought that's what was really cool about our dynamic, is that we didn't judge each other in the very beginning.
You talk about this finding your role as a man, so I'm curious, where do you stand in that now? Like, who? Man. It might be a heavy question.
Yeah, no. I think it's a great question, man. I think what happened is, through all of this, I realized that I stepped away. So I think that and I'm just gonna use the word masculine. Hopefully nobody gets offended, but that's how I talk. I think there's, you know, the yin, the yang, masculine, feminine energy. Yeah. I'm not judging any genders or anything like that, but if you want to take things out of context, you can. I think that the narrative of the masculine narrative is direction. You know, it's having direction, right? And I think that in the very beginning, and even when I was in the relationship, I lost that. You feel me? Like, I lost that. And I'm not pointing any fingers or anything like that. I'm taking accountability, but I lost that. So where I stand now is, man, I'm you know, I'm coming off of the authentic solitude season, where, you know, everything was stripped away from me. There was a lot of suffering, but you know, I feel like I'm transitioning from that, and now I'm in a place where I'm creating, I'm leading, I have direction in my life. You know, my spirit is alive, you know.
Can I ask you this, because the masculine and feminine thing, right? I'm pretty sure you've probably seen some of it too, where the whole red pill, blue pill thing with fresh and fit thing. Yeah, right. So I feel like I fell into like the loophole, and I was questioning everything. Like, what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? What is a man's role? What is a woman's role? And as I went through that, I kept wondering, like, you know, when you get in a relationship, you kind of start, one of two things happen, right? Either you take the lead or you take the backseat, right? I've heard this thing a lot, where it's like, people will say, you know, if there's two leaders, the whole team is going to die. So there always has to be one leader. And when you're in a relationship, I feel like, especially as a man, depending on who has a more masculine or feminine energy, if your woman is taking the lead, you start losing yourself as a man. You start kind of forgetting, like, hey, I can, especially if you're trying to tiptoe and like not hurt her or you know, please her. You as a man, I think you start to feel like what am I? Where does my value come in, or am I doing the right thing? So I wonder, like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think you hit it on the nail. You know, I think that in the relationships that I've been, and also just watching relationships, and even how even now, you know, looking back at it, you know, I think that the dynamic flows a lot better, because, you know, at the core, you know, here's what I think. At the core, all of us, so let me just start off by saying, all of us can embody both masculine and feminine energy, right?
I agree, yes.
I agree with that, right? There's times, right, if I'm dancing bachata or something, right, I got to be a little bit more feminine, right? Because it's more of a sensual dance, right? And that's just an example. But then there's times where, let's say, you know, I'm walking outside with my mom or my sister, or maybe someone that I'm on a date with, you know, and maybe something happens, you know, I have to embody my masculine, right? Where it's like, okay, now I got to be a protector. What if something happens? You know, you know, now I got to put myself on the line to make sure everyone's good, right? Yeah. So I think that there's times where we can embody these things, both women and men. But I feel like overall, at the core, all of us can kind of figure out who we are more. And what I've discovered is, you know, I mean, is at the core, I'm way more masculine, right? So just to kind of say what you were saying is, looking back at it, yes, I think it's, for me, I think the dynamic doesn't work and doesn't flow, and it doesn't bring the kind of fulfillment to someone who at the core is more masculine if they're not leading, and especially if their leadership isn't being valued, or if their leadership is being if their leadership is not being what's the word that I'm looking for, it's not being, it's being
like respected, or like it's
respect,
almost like they're
yeah.
shooing it
And
away.
that's another thing, like for the masculine energy feeds off of respect and admiration, right? So we really take, you know, direction and leading. That's really something that really feeds us. It really brings a lot of fulfillment. So I think that with what you're saying, I agree with that. You know, I agree with it in the sense that, you know, I don't necessarily think that there could be two leaders, right? I don't necessarily even think, and some people may be watching this on Trifecta, and, you know, and having the perspective that I now have, I don't even necessarily believe in, now that looking back at it, who I am, like discovering myself, is I don't even really believe in the whole equality thing. Like, don't get me wrong, like, yes, we're all equal. Yes, we all love each other. But I think where I started to lose myself and I lost my sense of direction, my masculine energy, and what really brought me fulfillment was the fact that I made myself equal. You know what I mean? And you know, that's just my perspective. Maybe, you know, I'm not sure if I'm translating that correctly, but
No, you are. I got it.
To go back to your point, right? To go back to your point, yeah, I think the dynamic of a relationship works a lot better when there's a leader, right? So yeah.
Any question I ask you, feel free to decline, okay? But I'm curious because, again,
decline.
Going back to that whole, sorry?
No, I said decline. Now I'm playing.
We're done with the conversation right here.
Just end it.
But one thing that obviously we're on the outside looking in, right? And from the few times I've met Cass and I've interacted with her, Cass is a strong woman, right? She's Dominican, Cuban, and a whole bunch of crazy, right? I wouldn't want to say she has masculine energy, but I think at some point she probably has that. I have it too sometimes, right? And I feel like in my relationship and as I get older, I sometimes like have to question it, right? So I wonder, and again, feel free to decline this, but I wonder, in that dynamic, obviously we'll add Carly in a little bit, but I'm trying to, with Cass and you, right? You said you discovered that you definitely have more masculine energy, and you take pride in that, and it makes you feel.
Let me. I don't mean to cut you off, right?
Yeah,
in the beginning, it was underdeveloped. So
okay,
it was underdeveloped, meaning that it may have looked like I like taking the back seat. It may have looked like I was okay with her leading. And even in the polyamorous relationship that we just broke off, right? I lost my sense of direction, and I was sacrificing
your manhood or
my masculinity to the fullest, because I wanted I wanted the dynamic to flow, and because there was so much validation coming from the business side of things, coming from the fans, coming from our family, that in a sense I didn't want to create chaos. So in a sense, I kind of decided to
you were like sacrificing yourself.
I guess I compromised. Yeah, I compromised. And even then, I didn't realize how, like, and when I'm saying masculine, I'm not saying like, oh, you know, I'm this alpha, you know, like, I'm not saying that type, because I'm you know, I don't necessarily, you know, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying at the core though, I do love those. I love to embody those traits. I like to embody the protector. I like to embody the leader. I like to embody the provider. I love that. I love leading. And if you know what I mean? So going back to what I was saying though, it was just underdeveloped, right? So on the outside, maybe it always looked like, you know, it may have looked like that as well. But looking back at it, I'm like, that's why I don't think I can ever do something like that. Like, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be open to a poly relationship, but I'm just saying the whole equality thing, I gotta, you know, it's like, I don't get that.
Like, now you have like a strong opinion as to what you would want. In a way, you were like sacrificing who you were turning into, or who you wanted to become into. Did it feel like at one point it was stopping you from growing as a man, do you think?
So that's a great question. So I decided to invest into coaching, my spiritual coach. day that everything happened, I really like, it's not like I had the thoughts of like doing something bad, but my spirit felt something, you know, and you know, at the core, if you embody that masculinity, and you, if you know that at the core that you're masculine, if when something bad happens, like the opposite of masculine energy, like it could be really great, it could be for creating, for leading, for creating results, but the opposite of that could be like an explosion, right? It can be like chaos, like, you know what I mean, like, oh, you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
my spirit, I felt that, like I felt like something bad was gonna happen. Back to your question, right? So did I feel like the relationship was holding me back? So when my coach put me under that hypnotic therapy, when she put me under, like, and she was talking to my subconscious, and she was kind of like digging it up from my soul. One of the things that I end up saying in the video when I look back at it was, I feel like there's something blocking my potential, right?
Yeah, I remember you
And
saying that.
that's not to discredit the girls. That's not to say that they're not fucking awesome. I think they're awesome. But the thing is that the way that the dynamic of the relationship, the way the dynamic of the relationship was set up, was going to block my potential. And that's just my honest truth. That's my truth. I'm not saying that that's their truth, but that was my truth. That because because I wasn't embodying my full masculinity, like I just felt like, you know, and it's funny because on the outside it's like, oh, look at this guy, two girls, like it could look like very masculine, but the way that that specific relationship was set up, it was blocking my potential, you know. And that's not to take anything away from them. I think I learned so many indirect lessons from them. Um, I was able to find, like, I think 11 or 15 limited beliefs through my coaching, because everything that happened, that would have taken me like 10 years to figure out if everything didn't happen the way it did. So I'm incredibly grateful for them, and I see them as my biggest angels, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, I think to answer your question, to be straight up, yes, definitely. It was, now that I understand who I am at the core, like I've never been so clear. Yeah, like I'm having so much fun in my life now that I'm no longer in it. You know, I'm creating, I have a sense of direction, I'm having fun, I'm leading in all areas of my life, with my friends, the people that I meet, my business partners, just the way I carry myself, you know. So I'm getting so much fulfillment from this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell the difference. I can, now that I'm no longer in that solitude anymore, trying to understand everything, you know. So I'm gonna share stuff that most people don't know, because I feel like I can articulate it in a way where it's gonna be respectful.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. So after the whole, once I did the whole coaching with my spiritual coach,
Yeah.
I would say, and this is not to sound like, I'm not trying to say that, like, because my sister called me and she's like, this is gonna take you years, and just take your time, honey. And you know, the feminine energy, right? It's like, you're gonna be okay. And I love it. I think it's awesome. But I was like, yo, Erica, like, you don't understand. Like 80% of the pain that was inside of me literally has gone away. That same first day that my spiritual, if you see the video, that shit was raw, bro.
It
That shit
was, and
raw.
I that was so cool that you share. It took I was like, this took balls to share it. Most
Bro,
men aren't
I'm
this
just being
raw.
obedient to God. I'm being obedient to God, and that's really it. I wasn't looking for pity. I knew that it was
I know.
actually embarrassing, as because some people who on the surface portray a lot of masculinity, but at the core they're not really that vulnerable with themselves, right? Like, to me, I was like, you know what? If this ends my reputation, if it ends my career as a man on social media, I don't give a fuck, because I really felt like God placed it in my heart to share that. So those videos are raw. So going back to that, when you watch those videos in the blog, you realize, like, yo, there was like I don't know about you, but I felt like a black cloud left me, bro. So 80% of that, I would say I was able to heal 80% of that same day.
Wow.
However, the other 20%, that took probably until, you know, I'm still probably at like 98%. You feel me? Like the other 20%, it took its time. It took like 6-7 months to really grind all of that out.
And that was like childhood trauma, and
Childhood
I remember
trauma.
you using the word inner child a lot, especially
Definitely.
with your. So I'm guessing that was that work that you had to do.
Yeah, it was a lot of inner child work. It was a lot of that stuff, and it's really just connecting to, you know, and that's what I love about. I really do believe that, you know, when a man is not fulfilling, when a man doesn't feel like they're getting fulfillment, I think authentic solitude is the best thing that we can do for ourselves as men. Now, some women, like, for example, people in the blog, I ended up writing that I didn't talk to the girls for like 7 days, right?
And you guys were still
reality,
living in the same house,
like
right?
yeah, like we were flying to New York, like we were not really talking. It was like 7 or 10 days, right? And then
Yeah.
someone was like, yeah, well, that's the reason why they left you. Like, what do you expect if you don't
People
talk to
are
them?
harsh on the
Yeah,
internet.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so but yeah, and I get that, right? So the one of the reasons why I didn't do that is because as men, we grow and we gain more perspective, we gain more wisdom, and we gain more peace of mind through authentic solitude. Whereas women, what I've realized being in a relationship with two girls, I got the opportunity to kind of learn things quickly, develop emotional intelligence on how women how at least how Kassandra and Carly were, and I realized that you know they're a little bit different, right? They don't necessarily grow in authentic solitude. I think that's more of the man's narrative. And women are more like, let's talk about it. There's a reason why sometimes, hey, come to the house, Cindy, let's drink wine. Let's talk about,
Yeah.
like, tell me about who you're dating. Tell me about this. Tell me about and whereas us, it's like, so I didn't talk to them for like 7, 8 days. And that was really just because I didn't have the spiritual coach at the time. And I didn't know, it was like I was suppressing so much trauma that was coming to the surface, and I didn't know how to lean into my emotions. I didn't know how to penetrate my emotions. I thought it was bad to feel bad emotions. I thought that if I felt those bad emotions, I was gonna act on them. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. But yeah, I didn't talk to them for like 7, 8 days. And then and then going back to your question though, yeah, I think 80% of it got healed that same day, and then I just had to grind it out. And then something else that I was going to share is there was a point in the video where like the pain
You
was
do this, right? I remember
yeah,
you going this and you holding here and then breathing
right.
into it. Yeah, that was
Exactly. Yeah, my
intense.
coach taught me she was able to help me get rid of suicidal energy, which I didn't know I had at the time. But it felt like, I guess that's what it was, because I couldn't translate how weird that fucking feeling was. I had never felt it. So my boy ends up hitting me up. One of my best friends in Los Angeles. He was my barber. Shout out to Barber South 33. So he's like, yo, let's go on a hike, bro. On the way to the hike, I go like, yo, bro, I think something's wrong with my heart, bro. He was like, no, you're good, you're good, you're good. I was like, no. I was like, bro, I think you gotta take me to like the hospital. Like, I genuinely thought I was having a heart attack, bro.
Wow.
Yo, he starts taking me to the hospital, and this man, he tries to calm me down by acting like, I felt like he was trying to kill me at one point. I was like, because he was acting way too fucking calm, but it helped me stay calm. So I called my doctor, and I was like, yeah, I got this feeling. I'm like telling her all my symptoms. And she was like, yeah, just go here, just go there. Anyways, I got a heart scan or whatever. It was just, they said I had a lot of stress or whatever. But I really thought I was having a heart attack. And then, you know what was really interesting? And I haven't shared this with anyone. My coach told me that there was going to be a window of opportunity where she says the person who shifts their energy first wins. Now, I'm not trying to make this a competition. I'm not saying that I won. Look at me, blah, blah, blah. Like, nah. But that's how she told me. She said the person who shifts their energy wins. And she said there's going to come a time where the girls may end up wanting to what's that word? Reconciliate?
Yeah.
Yeah, they may want to reconciliate with you. And you know what? There was that opportunity. And I'm not saying this because I journaled all of this. So a lot of the stuff that I'm sharing with, it's not like I'm making this shit up. I journaled this shit. Like, I was journaling every fucking day. So I can go back to my notes and literally read you how I felt that day. But there came an opportunity where that actually did happen. And there was that opportunity for reconciliation. And it hurt so much because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this another opportunity. It's not like I told them, because I wanted everything to be as natural as possible. So we ended up going, I think it was also on me and Cass's anniversary. So it was really fucking tough.
Oh, wow.
We ended up going to some sort of like taco place or Mexican restaurant. The whole time I was just, okay, I'm gonna see what happens. And what I realized is, when I started acting the way I wanted to act, like the way I was already transformed, I didn't fit that dynamic. That's what I felt. I'm like, oh shit. In order for this to work, I literally have to go back to who I used to be.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, I fucking love them. And it was honestly, the way it ended, fucking beautiful, bro. Like, I wish that shit was documented. But it hurt so much to know that, oh shit, this shit is only gonna work if I go back to who I used to be. But that's not who I am anymore. So the way I was carrying myself, the way I was moving, it was causing friction. And
do you think who you were, it was almost like a character you were playing before?
I would say, because it was, I mean, it was a character that I needed to play in order to discover who I am today. So, you know what I mean? I didn't know I was playing that character until I
Yeah.
finally decided to go, you know what, I'm going to open my heart up again, and I'm going to see, and it fucking hurt so much.
Yeah.
Know that in order for us to be together again, I had to be that character. And I'm like, fuck. And it's not like I wanted to sit them down and be like, and coach them and be like, hey, so I had this spiritual awakening, and you know, something happened in my heart, and so, and you guys now need to treat. I didn't want to have to do that. I just wanted to command that respect. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that. Look, listen, we're all unconscious. I think that there's a lot of things that I did that they probably thought was disrespectful, but fair, you know, like my mentor says, there's three sides to a coin: heads, tails, and the edges. So everybody has a perspective. So that's what I'm saying. So, but to me, I didn't want to have to sit down and be like, hey, this is what happened. I still want to be with you guys, but you guys have to treat me like this. Because I just wanted to command that respect. And if they picked up on that energy, then I would have been like, yo, let's do it. But the thing is that didn't happen. So that's when I knew my decision was clear, and I knew what I needed to do next. And they kind of came to that conclusion as well. They kind of made their decision as well, right? But for me personally, that was kind of my test that I decided to do. And it hurt so fucking much, bro. Like
I can imagine. Yeah,
it hurt so much because I really, 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 like, man, like I mean, I love them, man. I really do. I think they're incredible people. We were on the come up with each other as well. Like there's nothing more of a fairy tale than
what you guys had. Yeah, that was
move to LA, live in a fucking public storage, and then literally come up together and make money together and grow our influence. Like that's what everybody wants. It's like, man, everybody wants to, like, you know,
build with the person they came from the bottom, and then
that's fucking that's like, yeah, that's like a fucking movie, right? So do
you think you were, obviously you loved them, but do you also think you were in love with the idea of what you guys could have been?
Yes, because like I feel like in another reality, I just saw impact. Like I saw so much impact, and you know, we created impact. You know, like there's a lot of people who still reach out to us. So I think impact was still created. It just didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go. But to answer your question, was I in love with it? I was in love with it, but then I realized that I had to love myself, and in order for me to really create the impact that God wants me to create, it has to start with me, and it can't just be in this ideology of, hey, like together we can do this. Like that's great and everything, but I didn't feel like I was gonna, you know, I don't think I could live with myself if I don't express my full potential.
And I want to commend you for that too, because yes, you walked away from the relationship, but it's almost like you also walked away from a business, because it's like at the end of the day, you guys are running a business too.
Yeah. We were very big because me and Cass, we have a business background. We like literally, you know, Cass grew up in the martial arts business. I got the opportunity to manage that, lead people, hire employees. Like, you know, like it just, we definitely were business savvy, and we were getting so much business validation.
Yeah.
That it also was so, it kind of blinded. I'm speaking for myself, but it blinded me from thinking that it was gonna end so quickly. Like, cause we had, like, right before everything ended, we did a show. They flew us out to New York, and they got us a place, and everything, and like we were like on what the fuck is that show called? Say Yes to the Dress or some shit like that.
Okay, gotcha.
And yeah, even looking back at that video, I look at that video, I'm like, damn, like who is that person? Like he looks so weak. You know, like he looks so weak. You know, but I still love that person. I'm not saying I don't love it, but I'm like, wow.
You guys did a prank with Tonio. Do you know what prank I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I remember watching it, right? And I was just and this might be my empath self and maybe overthinking, but for some reason I was like, I wouldn't, like, I was like, I wonder if this prank is real or if it's not real. And if it's real, I feel like my heart would be shattered, right? Because it's one thing to do pranks, but I think, and this was, and even with you guys, this is with any social media relationship where they do pranks on each other all the time, where it's like, oh, I'm pregnant, or I've cheated on you, or whatever. It's like a part of you, your heart hurts a little bit. It's like, oh shit, I really felt that. And then like, oh, it's a prank. Oh my God. You know what I mean? So when I saw that video, I was like, oh my God, I wonder how he felt. Like, I don't know if that prank was real or staged or whatever it was, but I was like, as a man, I feel like that, it almost feels disrespectful to me.
Mad disrespectful. Like, even, like, you see, I was so blinded. Like, I had lost my sense, my narrative as you know, I would never, like, even the kind of content that was being created, like, I would never create that kind of content because like I understand a different narrative now. It's like though I need to stay true to my narrative that brings me the most fulfillment, which is my masculine narrative. And that is, and disrespect that, yeah, was it worth to feel disrespected and humiliated for a couple of likes and views and to do pranks? Like at the time, I thought that that was all part of like making the dynamic flow. You know what I mean? So I sacrifice in a sense, right? Because I would never create
I
content.
feel like as a man, you would have punched them right there.
It's just, yeah, yeah. It's just like I looking back at it, I was like, damn, like I lost who I was. I lost who I was at the core, and that's why it's such a beautiful thing is that I lost something, but I gained something else from it. You know, but
clarity. You claim
that
clarity.
content, yeah, I would never create that fucking like ever. Like no, definitely not. Like fuck that. I would never create that kind of content ever.
And I'm curious too because I've dealt with this right in my own relationship with like the sketches we do. You know, we're doing some raunchy shit with people, and you know, I feel like I wonder as a man or just even in that relationship, how did it feel? And then obviously the OnlyFans and all this stuff, like how did that impact you at that time? And even looking back at it now, like how do you feel about it if you want to talk about it?
Yeah, no, it was fucking killing me, bro. It was killing me, bro. Fucking my mental up, bro, so much because I think I mean just because I understand at the core I'm a masculine, like respect and admiration is so important for men. And I'm not saying that I'm also not saying that women should give that to any kind of man. You know, I think that there's certain women that have experienced certain kind of men who have taken advantage of them. So now they're like, you know, they feel kind of afraid to share that side with them. I'm not talking about that, you know, but I'm not saying everyone's like that, but I'm just saying like that shit was killing me, bro. There was times where like I was getting like borderline, like I would question myself. I'm like, yo, like, why am I getting so jealous? Like, is something wrong with me? And you know, like, and then I started to realize like, that's just mad disrespectful. Like for me personally, like moving forward, I'm not necessarily like, you know, I'm single, I'm chilling, you know, I'm having fun, you know, I'm connecting with people, meeting new people. But I just like, when I do find that person, and when I do decide to find you know, that person, the person I want to do life with in that kind of serious way, yeah, like, you know, she would just kind of have to understand the type of caliber of a man I am, and you know, it may not fit what they're looking for, and that's okay. So then maybe we're not good for each other. But understanding that foundation that I now have, it's like I can set that foundation in any serious relationship that I get into, and they have the decision, they have the choice. I'm not gonna force anyone, but it's just like, yo, this is how I roll, this is what I do, and you know, I want to build, I want to create a family, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, you know. But it's just, I would just, you know, because there were so many times where like I was like, what people didn't see is that shit was affecting me, bro. There's where there was fights over that, you know, like big fights, and a lot of people didn't see that, you know. They thought that I was always this person that just was
you were just cool with it,
I'm like, but the reality is that shit was killing me. When I look back at it, that shit was making me weak. That shit was making me lose my sense of direction. That shit was making me lose my masculinity. That was making me feel less confident in every interaction that I went into, business, friendship, or anything. Like, just people can, I mean, you know, like, now it's just like, you know, it's just different. Like, you know, and it's not like yeah, I mean, it's just different. Like, that shit was killing me mentally. Like, that shit was all piling up, bro. That shit was all piling up. Like, man, should I share the story? No, maybe I might not share the story. And then share the story, just if I do share it, it's just more so out of the fact that I think it would give a great, I think there could be a lot of awareness that could be gained from it. But continue with your amazing questions.
And I can relate to that because obviously I was in the sketch world too, and I'm in a relationship, so I can 100% understand.
I'm not hanging on that. I think it's fucking funny. Like,
it is, yeah.
But when your significant other, the person that you see yourself having babies with and building a family with, I don't know, it's a different story. And I'm not saying that you should agree with my narrative.
But that's the thing too, and you've made a great point of, you know, it's a thing of what you tell people, like, this is what I do, and it's like, am I willing to change it? No. So are you willing to deal with it, right? And you know, some people be like, well, you have to make sacrifices for a relationship. But there's certain sacrifices that just can't be made because eventually you're gonna regret it. But
check this out. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah,
I did that. That shit made me weak. What did they end up doing? They ended up literally breaking things off with me. I was broken shit off with me too. I was weak. I was not following my masculine narrative. I was so far away from it. So I get it. Like that's why I believe in radical forgiveness. Like, and you know, they have a different side to whatever. That's fine. But I'm just saying, they ended up breaking up with me. You feel me? Like, I know that I ended up making the decision to walk away completely. I get it. Like, I'm not trying to run away from that, but and I didn't run away from it. I ran towards my purpose. But yeah, like, you shouldn't have to make, in my opinion, is like, you should not have to make sacrifices that take you away from your whether your narrative is masculine or your narrative is feminine, whatever you are at the core. You shouldn't have to sacrifice to the point where you're not as connected to it. Like, that's what happened. Like, I lost my sense of direction. I lost my sense of masculinity. So, bro, like, I will never, like, that it doesn't make sense. Like, what you're asking me to sacrifice, you're gonna not end up liking in the future. I'm not gonna be a man. I'm gonna be a boy. And I like that. So, like, really understand what you're saying right now. Like, so, you know, but that's just my perspective.
So I'm curious to know, what is going forward, what do you think about marriage? What does it mean to you? And then also relationships, like, how do you view relationships? And let's go from there.
Yeah, definitely. I think you know, wisdom. I think anytime something happens that, you know, that we didn't expect, we gain wisdom from it, right? So I gained tons of wisdom from this experience. So you know, and this allows me to carry myself in a more confident way moving forward. And you know, one thing that's really awesome is that, like, I still believe in love, bro. Like, I have not been like, bro, like, I'm just so happy that my heart didn't become bitter. Like, my heart didn't become angry. It didn't become sour. Like, I still think love, I think, I mean, you know, I believe in love. My thinking has definitely changed. I personally think that, you know, I can be in love with multiple girls. You know, that's kind of my thing. But going back to the whole marriage thing, I think that marriage to me, like, it in the beginning, it carried this reverence, you feel me? And I think towards the end, that all of that kind of got washed away somehow, you know? And I'm not pointing the finger, I'm just saying, like, something happened, you know? So I truly believe that with the new foundation that I have and the new wisdom that I have and the new perspective that I have, I feel like I'm open to, you know, getting married again, maybe sometime down the line with the right person, have a family, have kids. I definitely want to continue the legacy. I definitely see that. It's just I feel like with the new foundation that I have and the new wisdom, I feel like that reverence still does exist there for me. I now know what my role as a man, you know, so my role is, so I know that. I feel like you know, I think that would benefit people, because at the end of the day, I'm not telling you to be submissive and then I'm gonna, like, fucking destroy you. Like, nah, like, I really truly believe that, like, for example, like, I believe that with responsibility comes authority. Like, and I know that we're living in this time where, like, even that word, girls, they kind of get cringed by it. They're like, oh, like, nah.
Which word?
Like, submissive, like, fuck you. I'm not submissive to you. Like, I'm gonna be your equal. And I get it. Like, we're living in different times. But here's what I do. Like, I really believe that with responsibility comes authority. So when I got the privilege, we got a puppy right before we ended up breaking up. But yo, this puppy taught me mad fucking stuff. Like, I ended up picking up a book. I think it was the Dog Whisperer, and he taught me mad stuff about psychology and how to train these puppies. Right? Wow. This became like my little son. And I realized that it was my responsibility. It was my responsibility, because they said in the book, it says after 8 months that puppies, they lose their ability to learn. Like, it drops massively. It's kind of like the saying, it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks. It's like after 8 months, their ability to learn drops, like, significantly. So it's so important to capitalize on this window of opportunity to make sure that you can implant the right kind of habits in the puppy. So responsibility, right? I got this puppy, responsibility. So I took that responsibility, and when hit the fan, I had to take authority, and I had to make sure I taught him, like, you know, one of the things I would do, I would. So when people, like, one thing that they taught me is, like, for example, when puppies are doing bad things, people usually call them by their name. Their name is associated to something positive. So you don't want to use their name. You want to use a negative sound.
Okay.
Right? So like little things like that, right? So when shit hit the fan, I had to I had to then step into authority mode, right? Because with responsibility comes authority. And I think that that's what, and I wanted to just kind of correlate that back to a relationship. I think that the masculine, as a man's role, is to take responsibility. And when shit hits the fan, it's also his responsibility to take authority of that situation. And the thing is that when that happens, like if the man has his head on straight, the authority that he's going to take in that situation is going to benefit everyone. It's not going to be this, and sometimes that's hard because I realized that in the relationship that I had all this responsibility but no authority. And to me, that was,
wow, that's interesting.
and that was, to me, to my core, that was disrespectful, you know. And to me, like, I was only using my authority to my puppy to benefit him and benefit everyone, so he doesn't fucking jump on the couch, so he doesn't just chew on everything, so he doesn't just chew. Like, there's so, like, I see so many dogs and I'm like, damn, like I'm like, yo, like, damn, this really shows a lot of about the owner's responsibility. Like, when a dog is just going crazy, doing crazy stuff, like, there was a dog here that ended up killing a family, like, over here. Like, I'm in Jersey right now, and you know, it's like, where's the responsibility? Like, there was no responsibility. So it's like, so I think that with responsibility comes authority, and it benefits everyone. So the role as a man is to take responsibility of the relationship, and when the situation and the right timing is right, you got to take authority of whatever needs to happen to benefit everyone. And I feel like that's what was missing, and that shit was eating me alive as well at the core.
Yeah, and that goes back to what we said earlier about the leader. You know, like, there can only be one leader. When you have 2 leaders, 3 leaders, everybody dies because there's too much commotion going on. It's true. I read it in a book somewhere.
Yeah. No. I'm not agreeing with you. I think that's...
There's a book. I just want to recommend a book real quick. I've been reading a lot more lately. Have you ever heard of the book, The Way of a Superior Man?
Yeah, I love that book. So The Way of a Superior Man, you're probably gonna love this too, and I'm gonna recommend this book. There's something called Intimate Communion. I think you would totally love this, and we can even, like, once you read this book,
is it like a little blue book with a woman and a man?
Author. It's the same author who wrote this, The Way of the Superior Man.
Okay.
He wrote another book called Intimate Communion, and he talks about 3 different stages of love, and it's really interesting because I can totally relate to that. Like, every stage, I'm like, oh shit, that's crazy.
How do you view marriage? I know you gave me, you know, you hope to find somebody, and you said that your idea of marriage was misconstrued a little bit. So, because me personally, right? Somebody said I talk too much on here, so I'm going to try not to talk too much. But my idea of marriage is, I think marriage is a contract. Like, I think I'm a romantic at heart, right?
Yeah, same.
So for me, I'm like, honestly, I don't even have to marry you because I know how I feel in here, and it's like I'm devoted to you in a way, right? But some people feel like in order to show devotion, you have to be married. But again, me, I think it's a contract. So I'm curious to know what your opinion on this is.
No, I agree with you. I mean, honestly, I think the contract benefits women. You know, I think that the way the laws are set up, it in a sense, it's kind of like an insurance policy for women, because you know, I think that women, because I think that I don't think the laws are set up in a way where it benefits too much the man. You know, so that's just my opinion. But I mean, to me, I still believe in it, bro. I still do. Like, I think it's cool. I just think that I think I need to. I don't know. I was in a relationship for such a long time. I don't even understand what's out there. You know. So to me, it's, I really need to kind of really understand all of the different options and really understand what option is going to fit my narrative and what's going to create harmony, you know, because I think that's, at the end of the day, like you said, 2 leaders, you know, it doesn't work out, right? So there's no harmony in that, right? So I'm looking for harmony. I think that's a big thing for me, and I think if there's harmony, then I think that I would be open to exploring
marriage again.
Serious and marriage, you know, because at the end of the day, I think, I think you could do it without. I believe that you can be married in your heart. But there's something like, I don't know, maybe we're just conditioned, you know. I think it's kind of cool, you know. I think it's cool, and I think women think it's cool too.
So you mentioned something about polyamorous relationships, right? And you said that you believe that you can love 2 people at the same time. Definitely. But you told me that you probably would not get into another poly relationship.
Not like that. I mean, and I'm not saying that that's not someone's. If someone wants to kind of do that, that's totally fine. It's just that I would still be open to it, because to be honest with you, some of the biggest teachers in my life was my mother and my grandmother and my sister, right? Like I truly believe that, like, and that's the reason why, like, for example, right? Like, let me ask you this question really quickly.
Yeah.
Like, let's say, and I know that you're an entrepreneur, and I know that you're doing big things, and I know that this probably wouldn't fit your situation, but we're just being general about it. So if you had a baby, and the baby, and you had to go to work or whatever, right? And you have to leave the baby at a nursery home. Do you want the nursery home that you're leaving your baby with to be all guys, or do you want it to be all girls?
All girls.
Most people are gonna say that. I'm not trying to create this battle between guys and girls. And so we know that women are nurturers. You know, that we know that the foundation for a baby is gonna be set up for its growth a lot better if the nursery is all girls, right? Instead of all these guys who are jacked up. That shit would be weird, right? Like, I'm not saying that guys can't be nurturers, but I feel like overall women in that can really nurture you and can help you. Yeah, to be honest with you, like I like Kassandra. When I fell in love with Kassandra, when I fell in love with her, I still remember how her love, the love that I was feeling from her, it elevated my game. Like, what ended up happening was she had like an acting gig, right? So she's like, damn, she's like talking to the leadership group of instructors, and she's like, man, I have this thing in New York, and I'm not gonna be able to make it. And it's about my acting, and my acting always takes second place, and I'm always here at the school, and I don't have anyone to teach class. Mind you, they say public speaking, some people have graded public speaking as worse than actually dying. So more people are afraid to public speak than they are to actually die, right? It's true. Not everyone has this gift that we have, and not everybody's courageous enough to jump on here and talk. So I was never like this at the time, right? So I was like, oh. But I felt so much love that the love raised me to that opportunity. Like, I did something I would have never done. And I raised my hand and I was like, I'll teach the class. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. And it was like, I got made fun of, but I was willing to go through that suffering because of that love. You feel me? So I feel like I would be open to a polyamorous relationship with multiple women. It's just that because I truly do believe that I learned so much from them, like just from them. Like, I learned so many indirect lessons. It's just that it came at a cost. I'm not willing to repeat that lesson again.
Gotcha.
So I would go back into it, but just with the new foundation that I now have, received.
I think that is a big thing for all men. I think all men, most of the things they do is for women. Think about it. Why do men want to make so much money? It's not to impress, you know what I mean? So it's like, so men do things for women, and women do things for their kids. They have this whole thing of how men are supposed to love women more, and the woman is supposed to love the kid more, right? Somebody always has to love more in the relationship. Nobody ever loves equal, and I'm a big believer of that. My boyfriend sent me a thing the other day. He said, when you love a woman, your goals in life become her needs. So if your woman needs a big house, you're gonna strive to get her that big house. If she wants to have kids, you're gonna make it everything in your power to build a life that you guys can have for those kids. You know what I mean? So I 100% agree with you. And I would add to that is that men really do act for women. Everything you guys have, your motivation is women. If you don't have women in your life, what the fuck is the point? You're gonna impress your boys? There's no point. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. You hit it on the nail. Like, yeah, definitely, 100%.
Do you think human beings are supposed to be monogamous or polygamous?
Man, that's tough, man. What I'm gonna say, man, it's gonna sound. Look, I really truly believe. I believe that there's that men and women have double standards. Okay.
Yes.
I think that the faster we're able to understand that, the faster we'll begin to understand what's happening in today's society. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's happening between relationships. I think that we have one of the highest divorce rates. There's more and more single moms. I think there's a statistic out there that says 8 out of 10 times in the relationship, it's the woman who breaks things off with the guys. So there's clearly something that's off, right? And I think biologically we are built differently. I think on a general level we can all agree on that, right? We can all, there's like guys that one day out of the month, right? So we don't have that, right? So it's just a lot of different things on a biological level. If we can understand that, then we can start to kind of ease our way into these things that sometimes a lot of people start to react in a negative way.
And one thing I will add, because we were talking about equality, and I'm a big believer of this, and I made videos about this before, where everybody's like, we're equal, we're equal, we're equal. And for a long time, I was like, yes, we're equal, right? But then the more I actually really broke it down, like I was saying we're equal because I'm like, I want to be a powerful woman, right? But when you really break it down and take out the bullshit, right, you realize we're not equal, and it's not a bad thing. I feel like we make it seem like if we're not equal, it's bad. We're less than you. But the thing is we're not less than you. We're just different, right? Men have a certain power that women don't have, and women have a certain power that men don't have. You know, unfortunately, biology makes us unequal just from the moment we're born. You know what I mean? So it's like women, we have periods. Women, we have to take care of a kid. You know, you don't make milk, I make milk, right? So I can't be the one going to work and be like, hey, take care of the baby. If we didn't, let's say we didn't have formula, I can't be like, here, take care of the baby. The baby's gonna starve while I'm at work. So the man has to work. You know what I mean? There's a reason why there's certain social dynamics. It just makes sense, and we can't get around them. You know, the man doesn't have to carry the baby, but a woman does. So it's like, am I supposed to go to work while you stay home, even though I'm the pregnant one? So it's like people try to deny it, and I don't hate feminists, but in a way I do, because I feel like they're almost in denial about a lot of stuff. And I'm like, listen, there's just certain things that are facts, and they're just there. You know what I mean? So with that, I always hate when women like we're equal, and it's like we're not, but it's not a bad thing. It's like there's certain things you are gonna be great at doing, and there's certain things I just will not be able to do because I'm gonna have a baby to carry. You know what I mean? And 100%. I think once people accept that, we're gonna be way better off. And I don't want to say we all have a role, but in a way we have a role. You know what I mean? And yeah, we can go around those certain roles, but there's certain things that are non-negotiables. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I'm glad that I'm talking to someone that has that kind of understanding, or else what I'm going to say may have created some sort of thing. It's interesting. So I do believe, like you said, I believe everything you're saying. I think that guys have double standards, girls have double standards. So I believe that as men, we're naturally poly, you know what I mean? Because we, it's like open season every single day, like it's not and what I mean by that respectfully is I'm not saying that it's different for women, right? So like women, they're not really open season all the time, like just from a biological level. Like y'all can do whatever y'all want. Like y'all want to go and have your hot summer girl, go for it. Like no judgment zone. Like there's gonna be people. That's another world. That's cool. But like it's what I mean by it's open season is like for us, we can literally go and we can do our thing at any moment. Whereas girls, like if they get pregnant once, they're out of the game for
9 months, and you're
gone. It's not open season, right? So, and also I think that as guys, we're able to detach from actually having sex. Like we could just do it out of pure pleasure. Whereas I feel like women, and I'm gonna go ahead and share with my perspective on why I believe this in a second. But whereas women, I believe that women have to be really emotionally invested. Now I know there's some women who are anomalies, and they're like, I don't need to be emotional invested. I could just go fuck anybody and be okay. I can do whatever you do, even better. And I'm sure whatever, like I'm not judging. If you want to go ahead and do that, go for it. But I feel like women have to be emotionally invested, just from my perspective, to actually have sex. Like I know for me, like even just going back to like, when I was younger and I was hanging out with my friends, like there's a lot of different things that we all did. And we'd be like, yeah, she was in all that, but like that shit was fun, and even gaming a girl and really, dating a girl. It's like you have to be witty, you got to be charming, you got to make money, there's so much, you have to kind of create this emotional response from them. Whereas for us, we'd be like, oh, like if we just wanted to have sex, we could just have sex, boom. Like for me personally, like it's just I can love someone and go and have sex with someone, and I know some people not agree with this, and just completely detach myself from that and then come back and completely love the person I'm with. But I know some people are not going to necessarily understand that. Whereas now my woman, it's just different. I think it benefits women if they are monogamous, if they don't have multiple partners, because I mean, even the reason why I think that is because like, when girls are mad at each other, what do they call each other? Like when they hate on other girls, what do they normally call them?
What, a bitch or a hoe or
a hoe. Even you guys know that a hoe is very devaluing. I
Yeah.
feel like a girl's value is not in having a huge body count. You know what I mean? I think that this is what girls call each other, right? So like, so I'm just thinking that it benefits, in my opinion, it benefits women to stay monogamous because it does decrease your intrinsic value in a sense, you know. And I know that some people may take this out of context. That's just my perspective.
Yeah.
I know that when I finally do settle with someone, I'm not gonna want to wife someone up that has been ran through. Like I don't want to be the joke at the party. Like, yo, bro, like I don't mean to tell you this, but everyone in this circle, yeah, back in the day, like that's already a form of disrespect. So
I'm curious if you were to ever end up in a relationship, right, where you met somebody, you're like, you know what, this is my person, and I think we could do this, right? And a party was like, you know what, I kind of want we don't even have to be in a polyamorous relationship, but I want to be able to sleep with other women or bring other women into the relationship, not permanently, but just, you know, because I want to have options. And she said no. Would that be a deal breaker for you, or would you be willing to, I wouldn't say sacrifice, but would you be willing to give up that part of your manly nature of wanting to fuck other women?
at this moment, no.
You
I
wouldn't be
wouldn't,
able to.
I wouldn't
Okay.
be able to give that up. No, I wouldn't.
If you were to get in a relationship in a month from now, you would make it a thing to her, let her know, like, hey, just letting you know, I would want this to be somewhat of an open relationship, but only on my end.
I think the conversation would probably have to be
It'll be different. That's me making
a
it
little
real
different
hard.
because I know when you approach it directly like that, like you said, like, yeah, it's a lot of girls are gonna have a hard time wrapping their heads around that, and so I think that it would be kind of like, you know, I think I have kind of you know, I wouldn't, because like even now that I'm like, you know, I have this sense of direction and I'm networking with people, and I'm even kind of in a sense like even, you know, my value in networking like events with other men and other business people, like my value in a sense, like being able to how do I say this, it's just, it comes with the territory in a sense, like when I'm out there creating and making opportunities and connecting with people that, I don't know, just for me, it almost kind of, I can pull in, I can use all of my resources, and women are part of that. I'm not calling you guys like a battery pack or anything. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just maximizing the opportunity
Let's
to.
be honest, sex sells, and women sell.
Okay, exactly. So
Yeah.
women, they cut the line at the club. You know, if you buy a bottle service, sometimes they put you in a section with a bunch of girls, right? In a sense, like, we understand this, but sometimes we don't want to admit it. Is that women, in a sense, they're in centric values in their beauty, and sometimes that translates into social currency. So if I'm at a networking event and I'm looking to do this, I'm looking to do that, I'm looking to connect, you know, I pull all of my resources. And for me, if I'm going to continue to keep leading, I'm going to continue to keep building. I feel like at this moment, those are things that come with it. I pull all of those resources, and women being part of that. Don't take that out of context and thinking that I'm like using women to, but I'm just saying it just is gonna come with it. You know, it's just gonna.
So I'm curious, when you say that, do you mean in a sense of? Cause I mean, I can see how some women are super jealous, right? They're like, you can't be around other women, you can't be like a promoter, like you can't be in a situation, you can't do any type of job or be in a situation when you're gonna be in temptation, right? But then there's some men that they can be around that and they're professional about it. So are you saying that you need a woman that would be okay with you being surrounded by other women in temptation and not feel insecure or threatened by it? Or do you mean as in a sense of, I might end up, you know, fucking around with some girl and I just hope you're okay with it type of thing? Like, what do you mean by the whole thing of, you know, you're gonna work around females and you're gonna pull at the strings and, you know, you're gonna, so what do you mean exactly by that?
I think it's like I don't think it's that black and white. I think it's a both of a little bit of both of what you said.
Okay.
I think it happens. Hey man, it was just, it happened. You know, like,
Okay.
look, I love you. You're amazing. You're great. Look, listen, like, bro, I don't even have her on my fucking phone. She's not even a contact. You know, it would be kind of like one of those things. Just keep it moving. And I know some people are not going to agree with that. However, you know, I think it's a little bit of both. A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's still like a struggle for me. I'm like, I get it, man. But I'm like, why? It's like a torment.
I just know my heart. Like, if I'm gonna fuck you, like, I know I'm gonna fucking love you. You know, like, and if it happens, like, bro, like your hair, like I don't know. It's hard to translate that in a way that I'm trying to do that with poise, because I think that it's tough, because I think we're living in this world where a lot of girls take a lot of things.
Everybody's sensitive.
They take it the wrong way. You know, it's like, oh, you're fucking dog, blah blah. It's not like, first of all, it's a like you said, right? That love, like when you have that woman that you really, really love, like you actually build and you create more, because it's like you want that admiration from the person that you truly, truly love. Like, and excuse my language, but you said it, right? When girls are mad at each other, they call each other hoes.
Mm-hmm.
I do not feel that sense of ambition and determination for a hoe. I just don't. I would. So to me, it's just like, she's just a hoe. Like, you know, like I want to let you know that it's gonna totally sound like a double standard, but just as long as we understand that
it is a double standard. It goes right back to where you were. Huh?
Yeah. No, I said men wouldn't have double standards. You know,
Yeah.
It's tough to understand, but it's just like, I'm doing everything for you, my love. You know, this is like, I want to build. Like, this is what we're doing. She was just, oh, like that. That's all she was. Like,
yeah.
Not gaining anything from her. And I know that there's certain, like, they did a case study, which is interesting, about men and about women, and they realized that women don't get jealous. Actually, they did a case study, I think, on like from 100 different countries. I think it was called, what book was it called? The Irrational. Fuck, I have to figure it out. But anyways, the long story short is that they realized that women actually don't get jealous of the fact that a guy is fucking another girl. According to this case study, what they get jealous of is when they start sharing resources with them. They actually found out sharing resources with them triggers a biological like reaction to jealousy, because now it's like, oh, you're taking away resources from our family. So it actually makes the woman feel insecure, because now it's like, why are you taking resources from our family and giving it to this hoe that you're saying? So it's like, so they did this case study and they found that women find that more, they get more jealous off of the fact that you're doing that than if you just have sex with them, and they're just like, that was it. You know, their jealousy comes from different. Whereas men, the case study they did on us, we get pissed off if you just like, our jealousy stems from the fact that you're actually having sex with them. Yeah. Whereas women's jealousy stems from the fact that you're sharing resources and you're, in a sense, devoting the kind of time and personal things that you would do with your girl.
I think Kevin Samuel said something about this, where it's like men and women value different things. So like, they say women, we lose our value as we get older, because men, they value physicality and like, is she beautiful? Almost like an arm candy. Like, men really look at women as arm candy, right? It sucks, right? And it's still one of those things that frustrates me, but it's like the reality of a lot of things, right? Not all men are like this, but the majority of men, they like a woman. Oh, she's hot, I'd fuck her. Okay, let me talk to her. And then the more you talk to her, like, okay, I like spending time with her. Okay, I'd wife her. I think that's how men's minds work, right? Versus women, it's not so physical, right? With women, we value a man that can provide, a protector. You know what I mean? We've always been raised to do that. You know, your parents tell you, look for a man that makes good money, look for a man that is strong. You know what I mean? So we value different things. So it goes right back to what you're saying, where it's like, the reason women, you know, they get jealous if he's sharing stuff, because we've also been trained in a way to think that, okay, I don't know about your grandparents, but my grandparents, it was always a thing of, okay, well, he can do whatever he wants in the streets, but as long as he comes home to me, he's mine. You know what I mean? I don't agree with that ideology, right?
I was like,
but
no.
but that's how, I'm like, nah, right? But that's how women were trained. And I say trained because we literally were trained to think this way. Like, I don't think, maybe, I don't know, maybe some women were born to just, you know, I'm okay with it, but I feel like majority of women were trained like, this is how it is. This is the reality of it. And this goes back to the idea of divorce, right? And I wanted to ask you earlier, because you mentioned that you were giving me stats on how divorce is really high.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, because I think this relates in a way, why do you think, and I'll give you my opinion after, but why do you think that divorce rates is so high?
I mean, I think, okay, so you said something really interesting. You said that, the women were trained like this back in the day, right? Like, their mothers trained them to be this certain way. I think that we're always being conditioned. You feel me? I don't think that I think we're always being conditioned. And I think to expand this conversation, I think if we could introduce a different question to it, which is, if we're always being conditioned, what is the right conditioning that creates the dynamic in a relationship that's actually going to last, because that's what's happening right now, right? I think that there's a different form of conditioning that's happening. You got the Cardi B songs, you got the Megan Thee Stallion songs.
I don't cook, I don't
You
clean,
got hot
but
girls. You got, and I'm not saying again, please, if that's what you want to do, go for it. But I think if we're as a society, if we're looking for that kind of impact, we really need to ask ourselves that question. Okay, if we're always being conditioned, what is the right conditioning that's going to create this result? Because as of right now, whatever the conditioning that's happening currently is not working. Like it's like relationships are ending, divorces are happening, people are breaking up. There's actually, guys are two to four times more suicidal than women are. There's this term simp, like you're a simp. And some of these, I relate to my simp brothers, man. Because I mean, some of them actually, when they get heartbroken, like some actually end up taking their lives, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they end up taking their lives.
I'm a little controversial on simps. I actually like simps. I think simps are great. But there's a difference between a simp and a soft man. I don't like a soft man. I like
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Go ahead, continue.
I love all people. I love all people.
I love all people too, but I'm just saying, if I prefer a man, I like my man to be a simp, a strong simp.
I love it.
A masculine simp.
I love
there
it.
you go.
Hey, if it works, if the dynamic flows, mad respect, I'm just saying, but yeah, I think we're always being conditioned, right? So what do you think about that?
There's a lot. So this is a topic I love to talk about. So I remember watching Fresh and Fit, and they were talking about divorce rates, and I'm like, okay. And I like to approach things with double-minded. Everybody always goes with one side, and I'm like, okay, I can see both sides, right? And they were giving stats, and they're like saying, oh, well, women aren't dealing with men anymore. Women want to be independent. Women want to be masculine. I'm like, okay, that's fair. But then I'm also like, well, you got to also think about, why are women, because you mentioned also the same thing they did, where it's like women are the ones initiating most of the divorces, right? And I'm like, okay, why do we think that is? They never acknowledged that question. They never said, why are women doing this first? And the difference between back then, when women weren't divorcing men, and now, is a lot of women have power now, right? Back then, a lot of power. Maybe sometimes some people can argue too much power, but a lot of the times back then, it would be a thing of, if you leave your husband, what are you going to do with yourself? You don't work. You've always been a housewife your whole life. You take care of your kids. Your whole purpose in life is based around your family, right? Yeah. And that breaks off. You feel the same way where you felt at one point. Now imagine feeling like that, right? Where it's like, what's my purpose? What am I doing? Like, I don't have a life outside of this, right? Like, I don't have anything. What's mine, right? So it's like women stayed with the men because of that, in my opinion. Now, women don't have to deal with it. Back then, if your husband cheated on you, hit you, abused you, whatever he did to you, you had to deal with it, right? Because you had no choice. You had no way out. If you left them, what are you going to do? Sleep on the streets, right? Versus now, women work. Women have power. Obviously, the court system is 100% on our side, which I agree with you. It's not always fair, and I definitely think we need to tweak it a little bit. But it's like women have all this power, and it's like, if you cheat on me, if you abuse me, if you do this to me, why the fuck do I gotta deal with you? Like, my life would be so much better without you. I can go find somebody else, or I don't even gotta deal with a man. I don't gotta cook for you. I don't gotta clean for you. I don't gotta deal with your shit. I can go work for myself. I can have my kids by myself, and I don't gotta deal with a man. So I feel like that's why divorce rates are so high, because I don't think men have changed. Yeah, men are becoming more feminine and stuff, but apart from that, I think the majority of men are still the same. They're still traditional in their way. A lot of men don't cook. A lot of men don't clean. A lot of men, they want to get home and they want to fuck, and they want to fuck everything. They want to fuck their wife, and they want to fuck everything, and they're territorial, and they're like, you're my wife, nobody can touch you, but I can go out there and do whatever the fuck I want. So I think a lot of men still think that way, and a lot of women are like, I don't want to deal with that shit, so then they leave. And I think that's really why divorce rates are so high, because women have an alternative now. Before, they had no alternative.
So good. Yeah.
And then to add on to what you were saying, I thought it was really interesting what you said, that the dynamic isn't working anymore, and I agree with you, right?
Yeah.
And I think the reason that and because you said we have to figure out a way, because it's not working, right? So how are we going to figure out a way that it does work? in the long term, right? And one of the thought, and I've had this conversation before, and it goes back to the monogamy and everything, because I was talking to somebody about, okay, are we supposed to be monogamous or polygamous? And my take on it was, humans evolve, right? We're always evolving. We're all different. Some people, it works for them to be polygamous. Some people, it works to be monogamous. Men are always going to want to fuck everything. But I've also talked to some men where they're like, you know what? I like having a connection with my wife, and I'm willing to make the compromise of not wanting to, or not going out of my relationship and fucking other women. For some men, that's a non-negotiable. They're like, nah, it's not happening. You said it's kind of a non-negotiable for you in a way, right? So I think it just depends. And I think we mentioned earlier where it's like, it's about conversations. I think people need to have conversations about like, hey, this is what I am okay with. If you're not okay with that, keep it stepping and find somebody else. And I think oftentimes we change who we are because we have an idea of, oh, I love this person. I want to be with this person so bad. I want to make it work. So we make all these sacrifices to make it work, and then we're miserable. 10 years on the line, 20 years on the line, you're like, fuck, what the fuck am I doing? When this whole time you could have been with a person that is completely okay with who you are. I mentioned, in another live I did, I talked about this couple. They're on YouTube. I forgot their name, but they have this dynamic where they don't fuck other people. Excuse my language, right? They don't fuck other people, but they're able to date other people, flirt with other people. They flirt with exes. They flirt with whoever they meet. If they meet somebody at a show, they're like, and they hit it off. They'll go on a date and they're okay with it. And they have that dynamic where they'll even talk about it, right? And they say it's normal for human beings to want to flirt. It makes your self-confidence, it feels so much better when somebody calls you cute and you're like, oh, you're cute too, and then you get your little flirt going, right? So it makes people feel really good, and they're like, that's normal human nature. But obviously when you flip the coin and you're like, on my end, that feels like shit because you're mine, right? We have like we feel like we're ownership of people, right? So that's their dynamic, and it works for them. And they mentioned something that was really interesting to me, and they said, you know, there's a lot of people in the world that want to be polygamous, right? And they cheat on their people all the time, and they can't help it, right? And it's because they're trying to force themselves into this box that they don't fit in. But there's all these people in the world that are polygamous. Why you're forcing yourself to fit in this box when you could have just taken your little cube and put it in this one with this person that is completely okay with being polygamous, right? But you're trying to make it work with this monogamous person, and it's never going to work. One person's always going to be miserable. You know what I mean? So I think to answer your question about how we're going to figure out how it works is conversation and being honest. Like, this is just how I feel. I feel like oftentimes we just lie to ourselves and each other and try to make it work. And it's like, listen, bro, it's just not going to work. So either you stay or you leave, but don't make yourself unhappy for me. Because heartbreak hurts and it sucks so much. But the reality is, and I think people don't want to accept it, is it heals. You know, it feels like the end of the world, but one day that's just going to be like, oh, that was a great part of my life. It also sucked, but now I'm past it and I don't even feel nothing for that person anymore. I love them. I care about them. I wish them the best, but I don't even want to be with them anymore. You know, it's like you get past it and heartbreak heals and you grow out of it. And then you meet somebody else and then you fall head over heels for them. And then you feel like it's the end of the world with them too. You know what I mean? So somebody said, how did you deal with two females that don't think alike? Did they ever butt heads? And then to add on to that, what was it like dealing with the two of them?
Man, it was...
All right, guys, so this is the end of part one. I hope so far you are enjoying the interview. Like I mentioned, I'm going to link part 2 below, and I'm going to try to put it on screen here. If you guys like this video so far, make sure you give it a like. Make sure you leave a comment, a remark, anything. Follow us on our social medias. And like I said, I linked all the interview notes down below for anything specifically that you want a reference to. They're all down below. With that being said, I want to see you guys in part 2, which will be linked right here. So I'll see you guys there.